A pastor in North Carolina was taken hostage at his church with his wife, kidnapped by a triple homicide suspect, and we're going to talk about it. Not only are we going to talk about it, we're going to talk about what you can do to prevent a similar situation, but also you couldn't prevent it and now you've been taken hostage. We're going to talk about what you can do to protect yourself and some of the things you need to do. For those of you new to the channel, my name is Keith. I am a 30-year retired police officer and I help church security teams secure their churches. If you're not a Christian, it's okay. If you're a concealed carrier, a prepper, or whatever, you're in the right place. Hang out. You're going to learn some good skills, learn some news. It's all good. If you put pronouns in your bio, you're in the wrong place. Head on over to church, go find Jesus. You need him desperately. However, if you dislike this trend of putting pronouns in your bio, go ahead and hit that like button. Hit subscribe, leave a comment. Lots of you come here, look at the videos, but never subscribe. Show me some love. It helps the algorithm out. All right. Let's talk about this incident in North Carolina. Zachary Plowman, he is a man out of Rural Hall, North Carolina. He was on pretrial release for a homicide in Forsyth County. He went and shot 3 people last week in Davidson County. Let's just stop for a minute. Why is a guy in for homicide out in public? Why is he not in custody? It's a very California thing to do, North Carolina. That bothers me a little bit. So Plowman shot 3 adults last Saturday. This is like a week ago. I'm sorry, I'm behind on my news. Please forgive me. It's been hard to keep up with stuff. He shoots 3 people and then he flees to the Community Fellowship Monrovian Church, hide and sleep. Now, if you get my newsletter that talks about all the crime that happens in churches across the country over the past week, it's weekly, it comes out. I talk about all the criminals that hide from the police in churches. Why? Because they want to seek refuge. It is a common thing. So that's what this guy did, Plowman. He fled to that church, hid inside, and then the pastor and his wife walked into the church in the morning and were taken hostage by Plowman. He carjacked them, meaning he took their car with them, fled the church, but later released the pastor and his wife in the area. He was found and arrested last Sunday, so 7 days ago from when this video was shot. Investigators are still trying to piece everything together. Now we're going to talk about what you can do to prevent getting taken as a hostage and what to do if you are taken hostage. Now, first things first, if you know this pastor, I'm sure he's traumatized. If you are the pastor and you're watching, I know that you got some stuff going on and I get it. Reach out to me. I will help you secure your church. I will help you try to prevent this from happening again. I'd love to be there for you. Just let me know. Pretty easy to get a hold of me. All right. The biggest thing that you can do to prevent being taken hostage is to remember your ABCs. Always be carrying. You never stick to the end. You'll never hear my great tagline, which I stole from Matt Sylvie over at 2A Cops. Thank you, Matt. I appreciate it. So the best way to prevent being taken hostage is to have good situational awareness. You always want to be aware of your surroundings and any potential threats. This includes noting exits, people behaving suspiciously, and any barriers to escape. Just this morning, I walked out to my truck and I saw an engine running with a passenger, no driver, parked in a very awkward place in the parking lot. Didn't look right, and I stopped and stared at him, and the passenger looked a little nervous, made me nervous. So I sat in my car, watched them through the rearview mirror, and can see they were just waiting for somebody to come out. It was all good, but it's that keeping your head on a swivel all the time. You want to avoid routine patterns. You always arrive at the church, it's 8 a.m. on Saturday, and you always enter through the same door. Probably not a good idea. Why don't you come in a little bit earlier, come in through a different entrance. You should always come in a different way each time. You want to have security training. You want to regularly participate in security awareness, self-defense training. My team meets every first Saturday of the month. We just met yesterday and we went over how to deal with suspicious cars in a parking lot, meaning safe approach. We're going to put out a video that's, we filmed the exercises. We're going to show you how to do exactly the same thing. You should be doing that training once a month at a minimum. You want to network with other churches and other people to talk about crime trends and what's going on. My area, we do not do a good job of this. We need to be meeting once every quarter at least and start talking about these things. We do have a group on Signal. The app Signal is really good. It's secure, and a bunch of churches in my area, we're on it and we share information that way, but we should be meeting in person. You want to make sure your environment is secure, meaning you want to ensure that your church, your work, your community gatherings have adequate security measures, including surveillance, access control, and security. There's a lot of political stuff coming up. So aside from churches, you got a lot of people meeting for political stuff coming up. I know we're going to be voting in the primaries here in another couple of weeks. We should be having security at those places just to make sure we're safe. All right, here is an example. I'm not throwing shade on the pastor or anybody. I'm just saying that in this particular incident, what what you could do, the guy had to have broken in. It's good to drive around when you arrive at your church, to drive around 360 to make sure everything's good. I know when I arrive at my house, I look to make sure nobody busted in the front door, gates are open, something's out of place. I always look at that. If I see something out of place, I'm coming in with my handgun out and I'm going to clear really quick. The church, if all of a sudden I walk up and I see that a door has been kicked in, then I'm going to call 911, let them know I have a forced entry, and we'll let them clear it because they're the paid professionals. If you are taken hostage, what do you do if you're taken hostage? Big thing is you want to stay calm. You want to maintain your composure so that you can think clearly and you can make rational decisions. How do you stay calm? One of the best things you can do is something called combat breathing. Follow with me. You're going to inhale for 4 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4. You're going to hold that for 4 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale for 4 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4. You're going to keep doing that until you calm down. Every time I was going to a hot call as a cop, a murder, shooting, anything, if I feel my heart racing and I start kind of getting excited and nervous, start combat breathing, life is good. It works really well. You want to observe and remember, so pay attention to details about the captor, the environment, because law enforcement is going to need to know that information later. What does he look like? Scars, marks, tattoos. How did he talk with a southern drawl? Did he talk like a Californian, like saying dude, stuff like that? What were the tattoos? Where were they? What color were his eyes? Did he wear glasses? All these things. Just keep looking at that and keeping that in your head. You want to follow instructions from your captor. You don't want to make sudden movements or antagonize the captor so you can reduce the risk of harm. Now, most of these people are on meth when they do this stuff because people on meth don't think rationally. I will bet money that this dude was high on meth when he did this. We're going to do a separate class on dealing with people on meth because there is a certain way to deal with them. You want to communicate clearly. So if given the opportunity to speak, do it calmly and clearly. Avoid arguing with the person. You want to wait for the right moment. You should escape the first chance you get. You should expect that that person is going to kill you. If you don't, it's time to move. So the first chance you get, and it's not going to endanger anybody else, bail and get out of there. I handled a hostage situation where a psychiatrist was taken hostage by his client. He had a gun, was holding him at gunpoint, and at some point when the hostage taker was distracted, he was able to leave very quickly out the main door where he met us, and it made our life easier because the only person left inside was a hostage taker. So we were able to slow things down, take our time with tactics, and go deal with them. Conversely, I've done hostage rescues on SWAT where I've had to make crisis entries where the guy is actively hurting the other person, either shooting them or hitting him. I had one of the last calls I had, a guy was killing his dad with a hatchet. And we have to make crisis entries. In most of those incidents, the person was making it worse with their speech and everything else. You want to signal to rescuers if you can't escape. Okay, and you want to signal to rescuers if you can, so that way they know you're there and what's going on. Sometimes you might be taken hostage and nobody else knows. And I'll give you an example. One of the things that we routinely trained for as officers was if we were taken hostage and nobody else knew that. And I'll give you an example. My friend responded to a call where an officer had been taken hostage and the officer gave up her gun to the hostage taker and they told her, let him know everything's okay, and she used the code to say everything was okay. And when my friend walked up thinking everything was hunky-dory, he was shot in the chest by one of the hostage takers and he was killed. What you want to do is an example. If I was her, I would say, oh, you want me to let him know everybody's okay? Yeah, hold on. First off, I wouldn't give up my gun. That's dumb. But the next thing I would do is I would say, instead of saying the signal to let everybody know everything is okay, I would give them the signal of, I'm in trouble and I need everybody right now. And you can make it sound, everything's okay, no problem. I'm on 1199, which is our, I need help, send everybody from every city all around because there's a shooting basically. And everybody would hear that and go, oop, something bad happened. In our department, we would switch channels immediately and then we would talk on a separate channel. Some things that other officers have done in the past, I use this as well. My name is Keith, your name is Joe. I would walk up to you and go, hey Keith, everything's good, man. I'll catch you later. We'll go meet up for coffee. I just called you my name. They know that that's not right. That's a signal to let everybody know we're in deep trouble, right? And then that way, like, so example, and if this case, I don't know if the pastor and wife were taken at the same time, but let's say the wife was somewhere else and then the pastor can come up and call them her son's name or his daughter's name or something like that to let her know, oh, it's not good. And then she could escape right away, call 911. And then let things happen. Some special considerations I want you to consider is have a security team at your church. I don't know why churches don't have security teams. A lot of them choose not to do that. I think that's dumb. Would it have made a difference for this pastor? No, man, it was Saturday morning. He was probably coming in to get ready for Sunday or, a Saturday service or something. But having a security team is paramount, especially with what's going on today. I've been letting you guys know about all the dangers. You need a security team. You got to have emergency plans. You got to have plans for what happens if somebody's taken hostage. What happens if there's an active shooter? What happens if somebody breaks into the church? What happens if there's a hurricane and there's no power to the church? You have to have plans. You got to have a communication system, whether that you can quickly inform everybody of what's going on. Hey, the pastor was taken hostage. We're dealing with this right now. Stay away from the church and let the police handle it. If you would like to come pray, come over to this other location. You want to have psychological preparedness. So you want to offer training and let people know how they can mentally and emotionally handle threatening situations, including active shooters and hostage situations. And lastly, I keep saying this over and over, liaison with your local law enforcement. You guys have to talk and communicate with the cops and be friends. When we were doing training yesterday, we notified local law enforcement that we were out doing this training. And I noticed 3 separate cops circling while we were doing the training. And I was hoping they would come in and they didn't. So if you work for that PD, you'll recognize me. Please come visit us. We'd like you to participate with us. And it was nice to see them driving around. They know that our church is actively doing this stuff. One cop made a comment when they came to our active shooter training. He said, your active shooter training is better than ours. Awesome. Go ahead and get rid of your gun and come on in and let's go train you and have you get some great training. You want to make sure that you provide that for them as well. Not that you're going to train them in most cases, but they can train you and they can do lots of things. So that's all I got for now. Make sure you hit subscribe, follow, leave a comment. And remember your ABCs, always be caring.